So I'm at Lumberman's monument. I've been coming here since I was a little boy. I mean, 4 or 5 years old. I'm sure, my parents have been coming here before that. We had a cabin fairly close to this site, so we used to come here 2 or 3 times a year just to see the sights and visit, and I figured I'd share this with everybody. This is kind of the history of it. If you want to pause the video and read down, tells you the history of the monument.
Ready to begin? Raise your hand above your head.
Then here's some pictures of the past. The monument in 1932, in 1943. Here was 2000. Well, this shows local rattlesnakes. We have the Mississauga rattlesnake. I've seen one in my lifetime a couple years ago. They're not very common. But they are in Michigan. A lot of people don't know we have a rattlesnake. That's a close-up of what they look like. That's exactly what I saw. It was about a 5-foot long one. Adults are 2 to 3 feet long, it says here, but the one that I saw was bigger than that. It was 4 or 5 feet. And then I'll take you over. They have a little diorama over here of what it was like back in the day. They show bunkhouse in here. I don't know if you can see because it's behind glass. There's some reflection, but that's kind of what the bunkhouse looked like in 1928. Here's some more photos of what it would look like inside. Log mark. They have some of the tools displayed in here. A horse and sled. Log ends with log marks, and there's a log mark in there actually. Some chain. Horseshoes, broad axe, cant hooks. Work for $2 to $3 a day, 12 to 16-hour days, cold water sloshing in their boots. For $26 a month plus food and lodging, the lumberman had to work extremely hard during the winter cutting trees. He was up at 5 a.m. to load logs on a horse-driven sled. He worked until sundown, wet clothes, waist-deep snow. When he wasn't cutting trees down and driving logs, the lumberman was feeding his horses and sharpening his tools. During the river drive, he worked from sunup to sundown, dodging ice, logs in spring, and mosquitoes in the summer. They had to work Quickly, because the logs didn't reach the sawmills before the river froze in the winter, his company would lose the money. At night, they slept in the riverbank where he was working. By the time he was 35, the lumbermen were too wore out or sick to continue logging. Some of the utensils and stuff. Lumbermen needed a large amount of energy to work the long hours of all kinds of weather. That energy came from food he ate. The most important part of the lumberman's day was a mealtime. In 10 minutes or less, he could eat 3 T-bone steaks or 7 pork chops, consume several bowls of hot soup, finish off loads of pies, cakes, and cookies, and homemade bread and biscuits. No one talked at meals except to say, "Pass the meat," or "shoot the beans." The lumbermen would eat 4 or 5 meals a day, every day. As long as the food was good, the lumbermen would put up the long day working hours, dirty bunkhouses, and low pay. So logging companies hired professional cooks to attract the men to their camps. But these men didn't like the food. They complained loudly until the cook either improved or was fired. There's a wood cook stove there. Material rewards were meager, but after a long day at work, the lumbermen looked forward to their free time in bunkhouses after the last meal. Quieter men smoked and played cards, and the others read books, or they mended their torn clothing or boots. Other men would play accordion or harmonica to see who could tell the tallest story about the log jam he broke up or a huge tree that he cut down. Women and liquor usually were not allowed in camps. Fighting were quickly over and forgotten because the men had to live with each other for weeks at a time. Lumbermen slept on straw and cubicles. They lined the bunkhouse walls from floor to ceiling. Sometimes 2 or 3 men shared a cubicle. Bedtime became early because they had to go get a night's sleep before they're ready for the next long day. Some of the old logs that they got out of the river. Talking about working on the river. River rats worked on log drives, herding timber to the mill. The river rats primarily tool was a peavey. A peavey is a long wooden pole with metal spike and a hook. It was the river rat's main device for pushing and moving the timber while balancing on floating logs, using a peavey like a giant can opener, pushing the point into a log side of the log and pushing on the handle. The hook will dig into the side of the log, causing it to roll away from you. Do you think you could handle a peavey for 12 hours a day balancing on floating logs? And here's a good picture of some of the river rats. This is what a log jam would look like. Of course, it's all bolted together so people can climb on it. Kids climb on it. Here's some actual photo of what a jam would look like. This is a bronze statue. It's been here for many, many years. And I've been coming here all my life, like I said before. And I thought I'd share it with you guys later half of the 19th century brought a boom to the woods of northern Michigan, a rapid growth for nation's hunger for sturdy white pine to meet the needs of home builders, shipbuilders, and growing industry. The men who met the challenge were hard as bronze, and the Lumberman Monument honors their courage, endurance, and contribution to America's growth. Take a moment to reflect the harsh living conditions, stressful work, and little pay early lumbermen endured while paving the way to America the way you know. Monument facts. So here's the monument. One's holding a cant hook, PV. The other one's holding a book. And the other one's got a saw, misery whip over his shoulder. And standing on a bronze log. So I'll take you down by the river, or an overlook of the river. I'm not gonna walk all the way down there. It's like 100 stairs or something. Excuse me. But it's a beautiful day, beautiful view. I got a little bit of a cold, as you can hear in my voice, so my speech isn't real great. But this is the Asabo River. We're just west of Oscoda, Michigan. This river travels from Grayling, where it begins. It's about middle of the state of Michigan, and runs out to the coast to Lake Huron. Now, currently, there's 4 dams on the river. Back in the day, there wasn't any dams. That's how they got the logs down to the lake. Because right in Oscoda is where the mills were. So they floated everything down the river to the mill. The issue is every spring in the thaw, Oscoda would flood. So I don't know if it was a Corps of Engineers or what, but they decided to put dams on the river. Of course, this was after logging, just to save the town of Oscoda. So now there's ponds, they call them. So there's 4 or 5 ponds now behind the dams. And the dams, from what I understand, are not hydroelectric. They were just put there for flood control, so they could let it out slow. So hopefully this gives you a little insight on Michigan and how we contributed to the birth of the country, you know. I mean, it gave the timber to build a lot of the country, you know, in this area, the Midwest. I know when the Chicago fires happened, a lot of the timber come from northern Michigan to rebuild Chicago after the Chicago fire. So they got a little gift shop over there selling shirts and hats and other knickknacks. So, well, hopefully you guys learned something or you enjoyed this visit to a place that I've been coming to. It's kind of, I get choked up a little bit coming here because the hard work and dedication that these loggers put in to do their job for small pay. So there's another view of the river. The Asable is actually a world-known, world-class canoeing river. There's a big canoe race here once a year. People from all around the country, all around the world come here to compete. So 242 steps down to the dam, the pond, 200-foot vertical drop. And then this shows what it would look like on their floating cookhouses. It's pretty interesting. All right, people, over and out. Have a good one.